In 1986, a music attorney in Los Angeles bought a Macintosh computer and charged it to his credit card. He pulled 3,000 names from a music industry directory, and he printed copies of a newsletter and mailed 3 free issues to each address. No one asked him to do this. Nobody was paying him for it. He just believed that every trade magazine covering the music business was absolutely missing the point. So he started writing his own. 40 years later, that newsletter reaches tens of thousands of people every single day. Label executives read it, artists, managers, promoters, interns, they all read it. Some of them love it, and some of them hate it. Taylor Swift may have written a song about him, and Kid Rock threatened to confront him in person. His name is Bob Lefsetz, and he's one of the most influential voices in the music industry. And he did this with an email list and the willingness to say what no one else is willing to say out loud. He recently published a short essay called The Route to Success, and Bob put it into words in a way that I want to break down for you today. But first, I want to tell you who this guy is, if you're not familiar with Bob, because his story is the proof behind this specific advice. This is Modern Note, where we learn from innovators about how they do their work so we could take the process that makes them successful and apply it to our own work. All right, let's get into it. Bob Lefsetz was born in 1953 in Fairfield, Connecticut. He went to Middlebury College in Vermont, where he studied art history, and then he moved to Los Angeles and got a law degree from Southwestern Law School. He became an entertainment attorney. He worked in the music business and later ran the American division of Sanctuary Music, a management company. He consulted for major labels like Universal and Warner Brothers. So this guy isn't just someone who was watching the music industry from the sidelines, no, and decided to have opinions about it. He was already on the inside. He saw how deals were made. He saw how artists were treated, and he also saw how decisions got made. That's when he started writing about all of those things that he saw. In 1986, he launched the Lefsetz Letter, 6 to 8 pages, printed out and mailed out every 2 weeks. His own analysis on the music industry, what was working, what was broken, who was getting it right, and who was totally full of it. For years, it was a niche publication. Industry insiders, they read it. Some subscribed, some ignored it, but Lefsetz kept writing. Here's the moment that changed everything. In 2000, Napster changed the music industry. People were sharing music for free online. The major labels totally panicked. They sued, they fought, they tried to shut it down. But Bob saw it differently. He said the labels should have licensed Napster, but the labels refused, and he called it the worst decision ever made in the history of the music business. He said it would haunt them, and he was right. While the rest of the industry was in denial, Lefsetz was writing about what was really happening. He was trying to teach an uninterested audience about this new digital disruption. They ignored him, so he did the next best thing, which was to make his newsletter free. And he switched from print to email. So the Lefsetz Letter became an essential part of reading. People needed an independent voice, someone who would tell the truth when it was uncomfortable. Bob became that person. He's been writing almost every single day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. He writes about the streaming economy, about what artists are getting paid, about technology, culture, politics. Bob spares nobody. If he thinks a major artist made a bad decision, he'll talk about it. If he thinks an executive is ruining the industry, he talks about that too. One time he said, "People are hungry for honesty, trustworthiness, and credibility. If you speak the truth, there are those who will be bonded to you." What I like about his writing is it's not polished. It's raw and it's personal. He mixes industry data with stories. He talks about concerts he attends, albums that he loves, arguments that he had, his own personal health, his struggles. He also said something about writing that I think is worth hearing. He says, I no longer want to read bad writing. Information is not the same as writing. Just because you can type, that does not make the result readable. So he holds himself to a standard. I mean, he's been doing this for 40 years, almost every day, sometimes 2 or 3 posts in a day. This is the whole model. Write the truth, do it consistently, let the audience find you. So on April 8th, Bob published an essay, and it's called The Route to Modern Success. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link it in the description. It's short, so go give it a read when you have a chance. But instead of going through the essay line by line, what I want to do is pull out 4 ideas from the essay that I think matter the most. And I want to go deeper on each one because the essay gives you the headlines. What I want to do is show you what those headlines mean when you actually try to live by them. All right. So the essay opens up with, be different. Me too is everywhere, but different is a state of mind that too often goes untaught in today's society. He goes on to say that baby boomers made so much classic music, or the classics in quotes, because life was less structured. College wasn't treated as a trade school. People had the space to experiment. In the last few decades, the innovation shifted to tech and the tech ecosystem. They break the rules, right? Now, here's what I think he's really saying. Being different isn't about being weird just for the sake of it, but it's about having the space to think your own thoughts. Now, I've been thinking about this a lot because I make this, what you're watching right now, I'm doing it at night. And my energy could be a little bit limited. But sometimes when it's quiet and everyone's asleep, I get some of my clearest thinking. Modern Note happens to be done in those quiet hours, and there's no distraction, no feed to scroll, no email to check. It's just me talking with you. When I look at people who we're covering here, like Francis Ford Coppola building his prompt book, page by page, he wasn't following a template. He built something from scratch because he gave himself the time and space to think without any interruption. Now, that's different. Creating the environment to think. If we fill every quiet moment constantly consuming, we don't hear our own ideas. So we have to protect that. Here's a part that Bob talks about honing your chops. And he says, hone your chops. The basics never go out of style. They're a jumping off point. It's the extraneous that pays dividends. And then he adds something that I think is the most important line in the whole essay. That film or TV series you saw, that picnic you went to, I'm not saying to live a life of hedonism, just that if you have no experiences, you've got nothing to say. Now, honing your chops doesn't just mean practicing your craft. It means living a life that gives you something to bring back to the work. And I'll give you an example. Years ago, I started a t-shirt company and I had no idea what I was doing. And the real reason I started this company was to teach myself how to use design tools and teach myself the process of silk screen, creating the shirts, building this whole thing. So I forced myself to jump into it. And along the way, I learned how to create a business from scratch. I learned how to find an audience. I learned which events to attend. Now, the business ultimately failed, but the things I learned from that experiences are the things that I still use today. None of that would have come from sitting in a living room, studying a business book. It came from doing something and failing at it. Here's another side of this. When I'm consuming content, watching a video, reading something that it could get me fired up. What I notice is that the energy that I have usually tends to fade away by the end of the day. But when I take a walk alone with no phone, or even better, when I take a run, that's when the creative switch turns on. That's when ideas start to flow and connections I didn't see before, they start showing up. And it seems like they're showing up out of nowhere. Now, that's an example of experience meeting the space. So the raw material comes from experience, from living, from doing things. All right, here's more from Bob. It's all about careers and staying power, not only repetition, but longevity. That word longevity, it might be coming up in this project about people that you and I study. So again, Coppola, as an example, he's in his mid 80s and he's still working. Neil Young is still playing. I saw him just a few years ago perform, and as high up there in age as he is, he's still playing. Paul McCartney, he's still playing. He's being out there doing his thing. None of them got there from just one single moment. Well, maybe Paul with the Beatles, but I mean that's up for debate. They got there by showing up over and over and over again. Bob himself, he's the proof. He's been writing the Lefsetz Letter for over 40 years, something that most of us haven't done. And sometimes he does it more than once a day. Now, talk about showing up. Talk about putting in the reps. The man doesn't just write about it. This man lives it. Now, here's a line in the essay that totally stopped me. And it goes, "We haven't had that spirit here since the internet became popular." Bob is talking about the music industry. He's saying that the singular world-changing vision that artists used to have has shifted to tech founders like Steve Jobs, for example. People who are building things that change how we live. But I think the idea goes wider than music. For example, the internet gives us a chance to do everything. We get tutorials, courses, every template, every strategy, many shortcuts. And somewhere in that massive well of information, some people stopped developing their own point of view. It's easy to copy what works, and it's hard to figure out what we're thinking. And I see this in media. I see it in formats that perform well. And if you follow a specific formula, like sure, you might get views, but you won't be saying anything that is you. It seems like you'll just be creating more noise. And we don't want to be the noise. We want to be the signal. All right, Bob writes, "March to the beat of a different drummer. Chances are, if you're good at getting along, being a part of a group, you're not going to change the world." And this could be a little bit uncomfortable because most of us have been trained to fit in. If not all of us have been trained to fit in. For example, school. It trains you to fit in. Get in line, be silent, do your work, raise your hand. Social media also trains you to fit in. But the people who end up making an impact, those are the outcasts. Those are the people that didn't fit in. They had a point of view. They kept showing up, even when absolutely no one was paying attention. They kept showing up. Why? Because they had that undeniable belief. Some might even call it delusion. Okay, this deep, heavy belief that this is it. Sometimes we have to have that unquestionable belief. Bob also writes something in the essay about tools that I want to address. He says, "Use the tools, don't be the tools. Use social media platforms, don't become them." Right? I mentioned social media already before, and yes, it's useful. If you're a musician, a creator, a business owner, it's a way to show your work to people who would never find you otherwise. But there's a trap. Platforms want you to keep scrolling, to keep consuming. And if you're spending more time watching other people's work than making your own, then you're the product, not the creator. The hours that we spend scrolling are the hours that we don't spend writing, reading, thinking. No one tracks that loss. You don't see a report at the end of the week that says, you've spent 0 hours making something. No, it doesn't exist. But here's the alternative. And this is simple but hard. Put your phone down. Pick up a pen. Open a notebook or grab a loose sheet of paper and start writing. You'll be surprised, if you haven't done this on a regular basis, how much that takes a weight off your shoulders, writing and clearing your mind. So it's our job to create. Okay. The essay ends with this. Your job is not being a star. Your job is to create. Don't be burdened by the construct of the past. If you're not looking forward, you're burdened by the past. The creator mindset is about making things. If your goal is to be seen, you'll optimize for what gets attention. Following hot trends, what happens when the trend changes? When the goal is to create, we focus on the work. We develop a voice. We build a body of work. And that work compounds over time. And when someone finally discovers you, well, there's depth. There's a body of work. Now, here's more from Bob. Keep innovating or you die. You've got to disrupt yourself. You can't be a prisoner of your customer or audience. Giving people what they want is a fool's errand. At best, it is for business, not art. I think he's right. The moment you start making things based on what performs well, you become a copy of yourself. It's like a photocopy of you. Bob built one of the most influential newsletters in the music industry, and he did it by writing what he believes every day, and he's done it for 40 years. Some people love it, some people hate it. That doesn't matter. He kept writing, and that's the model. The work comes first. The reactions, they don't matter. They're secondary. If you believe in what you're making, then keep making it. The audience that matters will find you because the work is worth finding. Now, I'm going to wrap this up with a few takeaways, and here's what we could take from this. To start, protect your thinking space. Give yourself room to have your own thoughts. Turn off the noise. Sit with your ideas. Write them down. Write them down before they disappear. Those quiet hours, they have fewer distractions. Live a life worth creating from. Practice your craft, but also go places. Go read things that have nothing to do with your industry. Talk to people that have nothing to do with your field. The experiences you have outside of work are what make you interesting. Play the long game. Everyone who lasts got there through repetition. Years and years of showing up. I know it sounds boring, but that's the strategy that works. Focus on the work. Build something real. If it's good and you keep at it, the audience will come. And if they don't, you still have the work. Bob Lefsetz is in his early 70s, and he's still working. He's still publishing. He's still saying what he thinks. He created a simple newsletter because he wanted to. 40 years later, the most powerful people in the music industry read what he writes. He built it with a point of view and the discipline to show up every single day. That's the route to modern success. No shortcuts, but your voice and the willingness to use it. I'm going to leave a link to the Lefsetz Letter in the description. Please subscribe to it. And thank you for watching and listening. If you come this far, please subscribe to this channel and like so more people can find Modern Note. And if you like what you learned, check out this video over here about how Francis Ford Coppola built a massive notebook that later became the Godfather movie. It's really fascinating. Check it out. We'll see you there. Thanks.